guess what? It's raining. It's coming down pretty good. Lightning too. Guess I'm gonna go back to sleep. Had storms last night. It was lightning, thundering, raining for about 3 hours. And when I got up expecting really a flood, and it wasn't bad at all, except it's cold. You know, just a couple of days ago I was hiking and it was 95 degrees. Today the high is supposed to be 55. So you just don't know with weather, and it's part of the fun of backpacking. You know, you can pick and choose on a hike to avoid weather or to be in the temperatures that you like or the conditions that you like. When you're doing a long backpack, you just sort of have to embrace it and get what you get. So today we got clouds, but it's not supposed to rain. Wind, it's Kansas, and cold weather. So I'm gonna keep walking and try to warm up. Don't know if the camera really shows it, but it's just sort of a rolling hill over there. Another one sort of over there that's got trees on top of it. As I'm walking along, I'm seeing, you know, the sky. Clouds are amazing, the way they look. But then we oftentimes fail to just, as we're looking forward, to stop to look up. Look at some of these patterns. Isn't that amazing? Those are just clouds. It's like some kind of artwork. The birds are enjoying it. But up through the trees, there's the overpass of the Kansas Turnpike. I'm staying at Base Camp Flint Hills. They reached out to me as I was posting on Facebook my plans and trying to get advice on this trail and the Kansas Rails to Trail Conservancy and different people in Osawatomie, and then I think it's Ann here at the Base Camp Flint Hills. She reached out and said, you really ought to check us out as you're hiking across. So, not knowing exactly when I would get there, I waited until last night and then called. They called me right back. They have tent sites with water, and there is a shower, but it's an outdoor shower and cold water only. I don't think I'm going to take advantage of that. It's right now. It is still like 51 degrees. This morning there was a big raccoon that, as I was hiking down, he's just sort of strolling across the trail until he sees me, and then he turned around and bolted back into the bush. But you see all these things, but then you get to these points where you hear this traffic and it's almost almost unnerving. I'm enjoying the day, just hiking, making good time in this cool weather. Okay, it's time for an experiment. Let me show you my problem and show you what I'm going to attempt, and we'll see if it's going to work or not. I'm sort of skeptical. There is a great water source. I'm needing water, but there is no real good way of getting to it. I don't know how far that is to the water. Here's what I'm going to try. I'm going to take my Canuck bag. I'm going to take my bear cable that I use to hang my bear bag with. This is 50 feet long. So before I do anything, I'm going to see if I can undo it all. And on the Canuck bag, there's this little lip right here. I'm going to run my bear bag through that if I can. And I'm going to tie it off with a double 1/2 inch. If McIntyre was here, he'd tell me the right knot to use, but I'll just use this double 1/2 inch. It should tighten on itself, and I should be able to undo it when it's done. This is my problem, is I'm not sure that it's going to open up when it gets down to the water. Well, I have untangled my line, and I took one end of it and I put it on this carabiner. I'm going to connect that carabiner to a belt loop. That way, if the cord pops out of my hand, it's still connected to me on the belt loop. It's good to sort of do a risk assessment when you're doing these experiments. So here's my risk assessment. This is a 2 liter bag. Water weighs 2 pounds per liter. So this is 4 pounds if it's full. And then it's connected to this little piece on the bag. So if it's full, my test is, will that rip out and I lose my whole bag, which would really be bad, because then I'd have to figure out some other way of getting dirty water before I filter it. If it works, then I have water. If it fails, then the least damage would be to lose my clip, and the most damage would be to lose my bag. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Well, it's down there. I don't know if it's getting any water or not. Maybe it is. It's sort of like fishing for water. Well, it hasn't gotten any water, but I haven't lost my bag. If I could figure a way to keep the mouth open, this might work. Doesn't seem to be doing it. All right, well, let me see if I can figure something else out. Okay, test 2. I've taken this stick and I sort of, to hold the mouth open, and I'm going to lower it down and see if it'll just start to fill up, and maybe it'll catch, and then the water itself would hold it open. Now remember, this is dirty water. It's got to be filtered, so the stick is not a problem in there if that's getting you concerned. Test 2. Check it out. The stick worked. I have water in my bag. All right, it's breakfast time. I got my water, boiled it, made me a cup of coffee, and my second breakfast of Jason's biscuits and gravy. So simple, and yet so good. So, Jason, bon appetit, friend. Okay, I made it to Admire. There's the water tower. stopped, gonna go to a little gas station that was on the GPS. When I got there, it's one of these little co-op gas stations. It's not really a station, it's just gas pump. As I looked at that, one of the local guys, he said, "Not much of a gas station, is it?" No, it wasn't what I was looking for. And he laughed, and he asked if I wanted water. I said, "No, I've got water. I was really just gonna get a Coke, but I'll just move on." And then he said, "I got a Dr. Pepper. You can have a Dr. Pepper." I said, "No, thank you, I'm good." And he said, "No, really?" He said, "We have extras." So he went and got me a Dr. Pepper. And so I'm sitting here drinking my Dr. Pepper, courtesy of this gentleman here in Admire. One of the beauties of Kansas is just the people. Now it's on to Allen. Out here in this field, it's this beautiful little bench. Memory of Kenneth Young. "The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation." My father-in-law had a bench, not quite this fancy, but it looked out over a pasture just down in Parsons, Kansas. And he loved sitting on his bench and looking out at the field and seeing the deer and all of the animals as they came out really early in the morning. When I see benches like this, I often think of Charlie. Just about a mile out from Allen, and so I'll stay tonight at Base Camp Flint Hills. See what that's like. But remember what we started with this morning? Remember the clouds? Look at this. I'm here. It is Base Camp Flint Hills. I was told that it was right off the trail, and I was told correctly. There's the trail, there's Base Camp. Let's go in and set up. Well, hey y'all, I was taking a little nap, trying to get ready for tomorrow. And I was laying on my air mattress and the wind was blowing, and I was thinking this tent's gonna fly away with me. And then I thought it might be useful for some who have a duplex or any kind of trekking pole style tent to know how to set it up in very windy conditions. So this is the way I set up when it's very windy. And it just so happens that Z-Packs is really good about this. They put their logos on the end of the tent that's I call the windward side. It's the side from where the wind is blowing. So here the wind is blowing from that direction across the tent this way. And the reason they set it up that way is because the doors. If you look at this door, it laps over the back door. And that way, if it's raining, the wind blowing and the rain won't come into your tent. If you set it up the other way, where this was the side facing the wind and the rain would come in, it could blow through and get in the tent on you. So look for the logos and set that up on the windward side of the tent. Another thing is, for my tent stakes, I use the MSR Groundhog tent stake. It's this three-sided, it's 8 inches long, it holds up good, gets a good bite into the soil, and works well in windy conditions. Here's the order that I use when I'm setting up my tent. I go on the windward side and I set my 2 stakes, one on each side. Don't get it tight, keep it very loose, just set it up so that, you know, when the wind's blowing, it's like a big sail and you don't want it to fly away from you. So make it like a flag and just set up this side of the tent. And then go to the downwind side of the tent and set your stakes the same way. Just very loose. Keep these cords very loose. Set your stakes up, and don't worry about it. It's going to fly and it's going to blow around. That's okay. That's just the wind doing its thing. Once you have that, on either side, take your trekking pole, put it in place. Make sure it's in this little cup that's designed for it. Set it up, put your lanyard out to your tent stake. When you have that on one side, and again, the wind's going to be blowing it around, and you're going to think, oh, my tent's going to fly all over the place. I'm never going to get it set up. Just take your time, and then on the other side, do the same thing. Now you can start tightening things up. So I start by tightening up the ridge, and I tighten up this lanyard, and I tighten up the other side so that the ridge is tight. And then I go and just start to, on each corner, pull it in a little bit. Don't tighten it all the way, just pull it in a little bit, and you'll see the tent starting to get more rigid as you go around. Just keep going around and tightening up each corner. You're not trying to break the cords, you're just getting it nice and snug. Then you're going to see when you put these lanyards in, you'll see this V start to take shape. Now, look here. See this? It's a little more wrinkled than what I would like. So I'm going to go here on this side, since that's on that side, and I'm going to pull this just a little bit, and it pulls that wrinkle out of it. That's the way I do it. It works for me. Sometimes if you use a ground cloth, and I use a ground cloth, you'll need to have something heavy, rocks, or sometimes I use my backpack and I'll lay on it so that the ground cloth doesn't get blown away while I'm setting the tent up. And then once the tent is set up, I just reach underneath the floor and pull those things out. I'm gonna go grab something to eat, and then I'm gonna get into bed early tonight, get up really early tomorrow for my last day of the Flint Hills Trail. I'll be going from here at Allen, Kansas, all the way to Council Grove. So, good night for now. See you tomorrow.